I am at week 67 on a GLP-1 and I'm almost at maintenance. Woo! Today I have 2 recent wins. Neither of them is that I reached maintenance, but they're super cool with, dare I say, nuggets of wisdom for you. One is brand new from just a couple days ago, and the other one I have mentioned before, but I think it's a really big deal. So let's get going. If you're new here, hi, I'm Bobby. I have been on a GLP-1 health journey after menopause for the past 67 weeks. For some context, my starting weight was 210.1 pounds, and I'm currently in the high 160s. I do a monthly weigh-in, and that's coming up in a couple weeks, so I don't have an exact weight right now. You know, before menopause, I was able to manage my weight just with eating healthy and moving my body. And then after menopause, no matter what I did, my weight kept creeping up. GLP-1 medication has been the only thing that's helped me to lose weight at a healthy, steady pace since I went through menopause several years ago. I'm 57 years old, my height is 5'9", and I just know when my body fat scooches down into the healthy range, I'm going to call it and say I'm at maintenance. I'm currently on 10 milligrams of Zepbound. I've been on that for 4 weeks and it's working really well. It's managing my food noise. It's giving me some appetite suppression so that I can stay in a small calorie deficit. And I no longer am getting any side effects. When I first went up to 10, I had some fatigue the day after, and I'm not getting that anymore. Real quick, I am not a medical doctor and I am a therapist, but I'm not your therapist. I am just sharing my experience and talking about things I learn and what is working for me. Always check with your own healthcare providers when you're figuring out what decisions to make for yourself. Okay, let me tell you about my 2 recent wins. If you've been following me, you know that I've been a little bit obsessive about tracking my visceral fat. Visceral fat is that deep fat surrounding our organs that everybody has, and it's fine to have some of it. It cushions our organs, but when we have too much, it is considered dangerous because it's biologically active and releases inflammatory chemicals and hormones that contribute to insulin resistance, heart disease, diabetes, and even certain cancers. There is an index called the Visceral Fat Index, which goes from 1 to 59, and a visceral fat index score of 12 and under is considered normal. So when I found out at the beginning of my GLP-1 journey that I had elevated visceral fat, I was concerned and I wanted to get it into the normal range. My visceral fat was not crazy off the charts. Considering that it goes up to 59, it wasn't even that bad. It was at 17. So elevated, but I didn't feel like it was an emergency, but it still just really bothered me. I've gotten estimates of my visceral fat through my Hume Body Pod, and then last year, about a year ago, I had a DEXA scan, and they didn't do a visceral fat index score. They just gave me in ounces the amount of visceral fat I had, and it was, again, slightly elevated. I can't prove this because I don't have the data, but I am convinced that my visceral fat was fine until after menopause. All the hormonal changes just jacked up my body big time. So as I lost weight slowly but surely on a GLP-1, my visceral fat index score also declined. I've been tracking it on the regular, and it kind of crept down in tandem with my overall weight. So a few weeks ago, my visceral fat index score finally showed up as 12 after 6 months of being at 13. And it just felt like a real milestone for me because I've been working towards this for over a year, and I wanted to take a minute to celebrate it. To me, getting my visceral fat score in the normal range is one of the ways that I know that I'm getting to my goal. I don't have a particular goal weight. I know that I'm close to it, but I want to have the normal visceral fat. I want to have not a high overall body fat percentage, which I'm still just a little high. This is like 1 foot in the door of reaching my goal, is having this normal visceral fat, and that is a big deal. My weigh-in update in a couple weeks may or may not show changes in my overall body fat being normal. If it does, I think I'll be at maintenance. Last weigh-in update, I was still a little overweight. I don't know if I will be next weigh-in update, but my visceral fat is normal. I do think I should get like a DEXA scan or something to confirm this. Yeah, I'll have to get on that. If you're watching my channel, you're probably on some kind of health journey and you're probably trying to lose weight. And if you lose weight, you're most likely going to also lose visceral fat weight. The other kind of body fat besides visceral fat is subcutaneous fat. That just means the fat that's under the skin. Pretty much the same things that reduce subcutaneous fat also reduce visceral fat. It's been studied a lot and there are differences, but in general, if you are on a weight loss journey, your visceral fat will go down along with your subcutaneous fat. And my body kind of responded in the way that the research says that it would, is that as my overall body fat went down, my visceral fat has gone down. So that's the good news, is you don't have to do anything really specific to target your visceral fat and decrease it. One thing that I learned that I want to pass on to you is that overtraining can interfere with all the positive effects that exercise has in reducing your visceral fat. Because if you overtrain and you don't recover enough, your body will release more cortisol. Overtraining also suppresses the hormone leptin, which means that you'll be more hungry. So if you are active regularly, remember that rest and recovery is really important and more exercise isn't necessarily better. It's Editing Bobby. So I want to make a quick clarification. Overtraining can indirectly negatively affect all fat loss, including subcutaneous fat loss, but visceral fat is more sensitive to overtraining because it's more hormonally active and more sensitive to hormone changes like the leptin and cortisol changes. If you're enjoying this, please feel free to subscribe, hit that like button, and share this with someone that you think would enjoy it. I also have an email newsletter that I send out about every 2 weeks, and it usually includes things that I don't include in my YouTube episodes because there's not time or space, or sometimes there are things that are more personal and don't want to put them out on YouTube, and just any news that I want to share with my email list. I will leave the link to that in the description below. Yesterday, I got back from my first solo backpacking trip. Now, why is this a big win for me? I would say dabbled in backpacking when I lived in Oregon. This was like, I guess the last time I backpacked was 2012. So yeah, it was a while ago. And I'd always gone with friends or a family member, and I really enjoyed it. But when I left Oregon, my gear just got kind of put in a closet and I didn't have anyone to go with, and it just kind of fell by the wayside. I still continued to hike a lot because I just really like getting out in the woods. The backpacking just didn't happen. But I got inspired recently when I started rucking for fitness, and rucking is just walking with a weighted backpack. So I was rucking with my backpack that is made for rucking, not backpacking. So you literally put like a 10-pound plate in the bag. And that sort of rekindled my memories of how fond I was of backpacking. And I started to get interested in it, but I still was thinking like, I don't want to go alone. Maybe I can find a backpacking friend. And then something happened that I just decided, F it. I am going to go backpacking by myself. And it wasn't any big personal life event. It actually was just a little anecdote that my husband shared with me. He works with professionals from a wide variety of disciplines because they all end up as experts together in trials. So he was talking to a hospice nurse. And one of the things that came up as they were chatting is that when she has younger, and by younger I mean not at the end of the human lifespan younger, so, you know, my age even, when she has younger clients who are in hospice care, one of the things that she heard so much is that they would say, I always thought I had more time. And there were things that they had put off and they had wanted to do, and oh, I'm going to tear up a little. I didn't expect that. But, you know, when you're in your 40s and your 50s, and you're relatively healthy, you just think, I have more time. And then, you know, something happens and all of a sudden you don't have more time. And that just shook me. It shook me and my husband. And we had some conversations about things that we wanted to do. One of the things that popped in my head was, I'm going to start backpacking, because there is no reason why I can't backpack. And all the reasons I had for not backpacking, even though I like it, were excuses. Like that I didn't have anyone to go with. Another one was that I have sleep apnea. And I always just thought, well, I can't go backpacking because I have to plug in a CPAP. Well, a simple Google search revealed that I could take my travel CPAP, which I'd already bought for using in hotels when I travel because it's easier to pack, but you can plug it into a big ass battery, which cost me, I think, $70, with a special cord, which I think cost me $20 or $30. And voila, I have a CPAP in my tent. Now, when you're backpacking, you pay a lot of attention to weight. This whole setup with the mask and everything, 2.2 pounds. Now, it's not insignificant when you're carrying it around, but it's certainly not a reason not to go backpacking. A lot of people go backpacking who are into photography, and they'll carry 5 to 10 pounds of camera gear with them. I'm not carrying camera gear with me. I can absolutely carry 2.2 pounds of CPAP gear so that I can backpack and still get quality sleep. All of these excuses. So I've been doing training hikes, I've been researching, and this past weekend I went out to a nearby national forest. It was a couple hour drive away, and I hiked 6.5 miles into the forest. I camped overnight, and the next morning I hiked 8 miles to complete a loop back to the parking lot, and I drove home, and it was a blast and a total adventure. I took a couple wrong turns. I found out once I got there that the creeks were dry, so I had to be really resourceful about finding water. Where's all the water? I didn't see a whole lot of wildlife, which was disappointing. I did know there wasn't a lot of bear activity in this park, but I was hoping to see, I don't know, some deer or something. And really I just saw like insects and birds, but that's okay. It was beautiful. It was fun. The first day was hot. It was rainy all night, and then the next day it was cool and windy, which was lovely. And I just had such a good time, and I'm so proud of myself for getting outside of my comfort zone and doing something that I know I love. And this was just my first one-night trip. It'll be so easy now to take more one-night trips around here and to plan longer ones all over the country, maybe all over the world. I thought I would be nervous or scared at night or something, and I really wasn't. I think it was because I did all of this preparation so that when I went on my first overnight trip in the backcountry, it was just the next small logical step. Because a few weeks ago, I spent the night in my tent at a campground within like the city limits. So it's like a car camping place, and I drove there. I didn't hike. I just drove there and camped for one night to see what it was like to spend the night in my tent. And it was so not scary. It was a campground, and I could see other families and couples with their kids and their dogs camping with their tents, and it just felt really like a safe, happy place. And I slept well. And then I'd been on enough day hikes that I'd hiked 6, 7, 8 miles. So I knew like how much water do I need to hike that far, or what kind of snacks work well for me. Neither the hiking nor the camping alone were new to me. I just hadn't done them together yet until this weekend. And so I think that made it so that this trip was just like the next little step. Part of me wants to say I wouldn't have done this without a GLP-1. And I don't know if that's accurate, because I could have done this, but it would have been a lot harder because I wasn't as well physically before the GLP-1, and not just because I had 40 extra pounds. The GLP-1 also helped my blood pressure come down when it wasn't coming down, even though I was eating right and exercising before the GLP-1, like after menopause and before the GLP-1. My blood pressure kept creeping up and up and up, and my A1C kept creeping up and up no matter what I did, and my weight. So I think I just wasn't as well, and I had all this inflammation. And so I think that backpacking, I could have done it, but it might not have been as fun. I might have had more pain. I might have been more tired. I would have definitely been carrying extra weight, 40 extra pounds. My backpack with the food and water for a one-night trip only weighed just under 20 pounds. So imagine if I'd had 40 pounds of body weight on top of that. So I could have done it, but it would have been a lot harder and probably less enjoyable. So I'm just really grateful at how much healthier I am on the GLP-1. So this feels like a big deal to me in terms of making my life more fun and exciting. And it also feels like a big deal to share with you because I want to encourage you to think about if there's anything that you want to do that you're making excuses for that seem like valid reasons, or that you think that you want to wait to do until some special time. I think the time is now. So I'm curious if there's something that popped into your head as I was talking about this that you want to do, that you've been thinking, like maybe someday. We all think we have more time, and most of the time we're right. Most of the time we do have more time, but we never know when we're wrong about that until it's too late. So if you're comfortable sharing, I'm curious to know like what things pop into other people's head. Like it doesn't have to be a physical activity or exercise related. Like for me it was, I want to go backpacking, but for you it might be like, I'm going to learn pottery, or I'm gonna join the choir, or whatever it is. I don't know. Share it in the comments. With any big dreams that we have for ourselves, I think that we can be the biggest impediment sometimes. And I'm really grateful that I shifted out of that mindset that I was in around backpacking of, well, maybe that's something I'll do someday. I can't really do it now. That was just self-imposed limiting thoughts that I had to get sort of jolted out of by thinking about how nothing is guaranteed to me or to any of us. I want to live the best life I can live right now. If you're still here, thank you so much for watching to the end. Next week is my GLP-1 food tips episode. If you're at all curious about rucking and like fitness walking and fitness hiking, watch this episode next. See you next week. Bye.